Hello everyone, it's David. We are on Season 5, Episode 14, Meditations on the Abyss. And we're starting to set up some of the final conclusion episodes in the entire Babylon 5 series. We start off, Delenn is in a bar to meet up with Lennier, but some bar patron decides he wants to hit on Delenn. So he makes it known that he's going to take Delenn home with him and he's going to make love, sweet love to her. And in return, she snaps his finger and says, "You've got 9 others for the time being. I suggest you leave this place now while you still have the use of them." Delenn ends up hooking up with Lennier to try and get Lennier set up to find evidence that the Centauri are behind the shipping attacks. And you get the sense that things are starting to circle around and tighten around the Centauri, that they're going to be made the center of all troubles here. We cue the entrance. Delenn tasks Lennier with finding evidence of Centauri involvement in attacks on the Alliance shipping. She wants Lennier to extend his visit, but Lennier's got too much of the feels for her, and he politely says, no. She goes, "But I haven't seen you since the Mercury Day of the Dead." And he says, "Yeah, about that. Mr. Morden appeared to me and said that I would betray the Endless Shock." And she goes, "Lennier, there's nothing I could imagine that would happen that would cause you to betray the Endless Shock. Unless maybe it would be something that in the long run ends up helping the Endless Shock. You know, if the Drak say, hey, this guy Lennier, he was the number 2 to Delenn, and now he's been kicked out of the Endless Shock. Maybe we should go in and find, and Lennier could, sneak his way in that way. Possibility. Who knows? Maybe it will be in on the new Babylon 5. Lennier's redemption. At any rate, Londo Mollari promotes Veer to the rank of ambassador as he finds a listening device that was planted by a Drazi merchant. Dr. Franklin inserts a new prosthetic eye on Jakar and gets permission to stop by and listen to some of Jakar's teachings. Lennier and a trainee named Findel are sent out in fighters with limited oxygen while the White Star jumps away. And Lennier, kind of used to this sort of behavior from humans, is trying to instruct Findel on how to survive this. Just kind of meditate, conserve your oxygen, power down all your other systems, but Findel isn't getting it up here. Okay, the White Star eventually jumps back, and in another exercise, Findel tries to kill himself. After Lennier had talked to him just beforehand on why are you here? What is your motivation? And I found myself back with the conversation that I had with one of my nursing instructors when I very first got into nursing. Okay, I hadn't got my license, hadn't gotten out of school. I was in my first year of nursing school, second year of college. You spend your first year taking preparatory courses, and then the second year you start in on the actual, nursing process kind of thing. One of my instructors pulled, me aside, and she goes, "David, what caused you to get into nursing?" And I said, well, I wanted to be a millionaire, and this was my fastest way I could figure out of how to get to be a millionaire. And she promptly expelled me from the university. No, that's not actually what happened. What happened was, I said, because when I was a little kid, I enjoyed working, in first aid stations and helping out with running marathons and doing emergency first aid and things like that. And I just wanted to get my nursing career to kind of continue that, helping other people, especially ones who are sick or vulnerable. And she said, "Good answer. You can continue further on into the course." Not everybody says that. Some people do think that it's their way to fame and riches. And I can tell you right now, if that's your motivation to going into nursing or into medicine in general, I would stick to administration work, not nursing work. Trust me, you are not going to be getting rich by being a nurse. Trust me, I tried it for 18 and a half years. Failed spectacularly, but I sure had a lot of fun. I sure met a lot of very fascinating and interesting people, and I sure got to help some people and even save people's lives. And so I was very privileged to have that. Kind of what Lennier was talking to Findel about. Have you guys ever had a conversation like that in your particular profession? Go ahead and put that down below as to what happened, what caused the conversation, how'd the conversation go, and what ended up being the end result of that. Anyway, Dr. Franklin attends one of Jakar's teaching sessions, and you can tell Dr. Franklin gets it, but most of Jakar's students don't. They want the simple answer. They don't want the long, complex, the blah, blah, blah. Just give it to me in 100 words or less. You know, if you can tweet your response, that's sufficient. Just, you know, Twitter it out to me. What is the meaning of life? In one of the most memorable and heavily memmed series, Veer is intimidated by the Drazi merchant who bugged his grocery bag. Angered, Veer storms off, walks right into Lando's quarters, pulls his Centauri sword off the wall, and Lando has said, "Can I do something for you, Lennier or Veer?" And Veer is like, "Nope, just gonna borrow this for a second." Goes back over and starts taking the sword and just bashing the hell out of this merchant's shop as this merchant is cowering on the ground. "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And he says, points the sword right at him and says, "Now do you want to finish this conversation, spoo for brains?" And takes a pair of grapes and smashes it right on the guy's head. And here is Lando just beaming proudly. Now he's ready to be an ambassador for the Centauri. So if you're ever wondering where that picture of a sword, Veer holding a sword, comes from, that's where it comes from, is this episode. At any rate, we go on in, and while the other people, Delenn and Sheridan and Dr. Franklin, are enjoying a nice meal together, they're wondering what happened to Garibaldi. And Garibaldi's doing what a lot of us alcoholics do when we're in our sickness. We isolate ourselves because we don't want other people to know what our sick secrets are. So here he is, drunk on the floor in his quarters, trying to order a pizza from the Fresh Air restaurant. And I can tell you a lot of times, I never get invited to go anywhere. People don't like me. No, you moron. It's just you're too drunk to go anywhere. And so you deliberately exclude yourself. When I quit drinking, all of a sudden, all these invitations started coming in. People wanting to be around me again because I'm not acting like a drunken moron. And that's exactly what Michael Garibaldi's doing. He's self-isolating. At any rate, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will see you next episode.